What's up, my good peoples? Welcome to the Be Transformed podcast, where we're talking about ideas that stimulate wholesome thinking into identity, purpose, vision, and action. I am James Anderson. With me is Logan Eaton.
What's up?
And we are rocking it tonight.
How's everyone doing out there listening?
Out there in the World Wide Web.
This is the AM radio station is 1945 AM.
AM.
Not FM.
Whoa. Yeah.
So anyways, what was I talking about?
You're talking about how I think Ohio has officially become a rainforest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it has.
There's not too many days that go by that don't have a little bit of rain.
Yeah, and I think I saw one of those brightly colored birds flying by. Like a toucan. So I think it's just
I'm pretty sure that's a sign.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't think that's a native bird. I think I saw a palm tree growing somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah. So some of those like rainforest frogs, the really bright colored ones that are
The poisonous one?
yeah, they stick to your window.
Mm.
A couple of those were
Seen a couple
got
of those?
stuck on my window. So I think it's just a matter of time.
They're
It's a
migrating
matter of time
over.
until all the rainforest livestock or wildlife show up.
The old livestock.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty soon you're going to have a chimney pansy on your car.
A chimney? A pansy in your chimney? A chimpanzee?
Chimpanzee, yeah.
A
Those
chimney
are
pansy.
rainforest. You might have a tarantula floating in your toilet.
Gross.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it. That's like a weekly occurrence.
At least all that stuff's happening at my apartment. I don't know what you guys got here.
It's Noah's Ark over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Otherwise, nothing crazy going on.
Nothing crazy going on. We've been doing our BT Saturday morning workouts.
Yeah. Those have been well.
Yeah.
Those have been really well.
Mm.
Shout out to Steve.
Steve from
Photography Steve, yeah.
yeah.
Man, that guy can
Vacant
film.
Aces or something.
Vacant Ace Photography. Or
Bam.
maybe it's filmography. Vacant Ace, though, that's the name.
Yeah.
Steve, he came out, filmed some stuff on a hovercraft, and then took some pictures.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle and Kyle
were
both out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Yoga Kyle comes back.
Mm. Yeah.
Hopefully we didn't scare him off.
We might have.
Austin was out there. Shout out to Austin.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Looking good.
It was good.
10
10
a.m.
Saturday morning.
Boom. Check out our Facebook events. Yeah, we had some ladies across the street doing some workouts, bodyweight workouts, while the kids were kind of messing around on the playground.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, it's for anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to come out and do something sweet.
Do something sweet. Yeah. We're using that Saturday morning as a way to meet people. So the goal is if we can, through common interests, make relationships, then we can display the kingdom, bring people into what we're doing, share some of the programs we have, and make a difference.
Create community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this Saturday.
Yeah. Got some ideas
Another
for
good
some
one.
variations.
Sweet.
Mm. Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's a really fun time. I see Kyle at the gym. I always say hi. I've been seeing him a lot this week.
Mm.
So that's good.
Sounds like he works second shift.
He must, because, yeah, he's usually in there late. Yeah, like 8 or 9 o'clock.
In the morning
Yeah.
or at night?
No, in the morning, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else crazy going on?
I don't think so. You been reading anything sweet lately?
No, I've been. I mean, Ecclesiastes.
Man.
Which is a lot of information. You have to read it with an open mind. You don't want to take anything the wrong way.
Like it's all meaningless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, I don't know. We could probably talk about that for a long time, but I think it's just like when you have a whole perspective of like eternity, it's like, there's, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm qualified to like interpret that book.
Well, did anything stand out?
The big thing is like eat, drink, or like maybe it was eat, sleep, enjoy your work, or eat and drink and enjoy your work. But it was like, find satisfaction in your work. And he's like, if you don't do that and you toil for all these things, but you don't enjoy what you're doing, or you toil just for the material things, you're going to end up at the end being like, man, that was all worthless. So he's like, eat, drink, and enjoy your days. Enjoy what you do. And so, that's always stood out. Every time I read that book, that's the piece that stands out to me, is the eat, like sustain yourself, take care of your family, and then enjoy what you do every day, because you're not going to get that day back, and you don't want to get to the end of your days and look back and be like, man, that was a lot of days that I wasn't enjoying them.
Yeah.
Because that's like going to happen. Like you're going to realize like all these, there's going to be a point where like you come to the end, it's like there's not going to be another day on earth. Like there's no tomorrow on the earth. But you can look back and see all these days that you did have, and it's like, well, what the heck was I? You don't want to be like, what the heck was I doing? So he's like, if you're doing that stuff for like material things, or you're doing it, or you don't like what you do, but you're doing it, just because you think you have to or whatever, he's like, it's all meaningless. It's all worthless. You're going to end up looking back and regretting all that. So that's what I honestly, personally took from it. But I don't know. There's a lot in there that I probably can't interpret. And just, I'm not as wise as Solomon. He had all the wisdom. But it's definitely not a book where it's like, oh gosh, everything's meaningless. I might as well not do anything. I might as well just sit on the couch all day and eat Funyuns.
Bonbons.
Yeah.
Dipped in Funyuns. Yeah.
So I think I used to take that book that way though. I used to think like, well, it's worthless to do anything then.
Sure.
So just forget about everything. Just exist. But that's definitely not what I think it's saying. And that's not what I think the purpose of the book is. Do the stuff for the right reasons. Don't do it for the wrong ones. Make sure you're living every day to the fullest, because you're not going to get it back. And like the rich, they're no different than the poor. It's like everyone's working for the same thing, and everyone has the same end result in the end, which is death. So there's no way to escape that. So enjoy your time while you've got it. That's like what I took from it. But that's what I've been reading. What I've been listening to is a new podcast that I found, which is pretty cool. Short story long, with drama from Rob Dyrdek's cousin. And Rob Dyrdek, the famous skateboarder, and I don't know, he's like a huge entrepreneur now, but his cousin started a podcast. He interviews a bunch of business people, entrepreneurs, and just like self-development people and all that. So I've been listening to some of his stuff just when I got some free time, and he's had some interesting people on there that have said some interesting things. It's mostly just people he just like gets to know. He like pulls the story from the people that have, kind of started with nothing but worked up to create crazy things. So interesting content on there. But that's pretty much the content that I've been diving into.
Yeah, I like the in Ecclesiastes there's a verse that says don't be too righteous and don't be too wicked.
I remember that one.
And he gives a couple reasons for them, but it's like, what's fun is it's just kind of like, don't take it all too seriously, right? Like, and do like, oh my gosh, I got to do it all perfect to like totally cast off restraint. But it's like, there's definitely a middle ground there.
Yeah. I do remember that one. Yeah.
But yeah, it just, you were talking about, making the most out of every day because it's the only one you got. That's,
Yeah.
that's like that or whatever. And
Right.
I woke up this morning and, I've been having pretty, steady-ish morning routine.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. It's just, I'm recognizing the repetitions that I'm doing in terms of like every day. Okay, like I'm getting up and I'm doing these things. I'm writing my article. I'm, getting into this stuff and then, go do some work and then whatever.
Yeah.
And and it's also kind of like, it kind of feels like maybe once you start working out, once you haven't worked out for a while, start working out. It's like first, it's going good. It's like feeling good. It's like gaining gains. And then you're like, okay, I really don't want to, I don't want to show up.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then I show up anyways, just because of the commitment I've made, it forces me to keep showing up. And, but anyways, I was just kind of feeling the repetition a little bit. And I was like, I just woke up and I thought, I was like, maybe I'll do 50 push-ups. And so somebody was talking about doing push-ups in the morning, and I was that must have been what triggered it. But anyways, I woke up thinking, maybe I should do some push-ups. It's like it just breaks up the routine a little bit. It's like get some blood pumping, get some oxygen in the body. I was like, hey, I just pounded out some shups and got into it. But yeah,
the shups.
Yeah, it's good just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally know what you mean. I think I'll admit, for like the past, probably since winter up till about recently, I've just been going further and farther out of the morning routine, like just sleeping in a little bit more, working out whenever, just, even if it's 7 o'clock at night, just kind of going and just kind of, I don't know. So, but yeah, recently I tried to do the same thing, switching it back up, getting up at a good time, making sure I get a routine in the morning done instead of just, spending a half hour making breakfast. Like, how can I eat breakfast and like, how can I get that done in like 50, just kind of seeing, okay, what do I got to do to get back into more of a consistency with the morning routine and kind of get more stuff done during the day. But yeah, for a long time there, it was kind of I don't know, undisciplined. It was like, whatever, I'll start whenever I get to whatever today.
Yeah.
And but it's like when you don't have anything that's kind of motivating you, it's easy to fall back into that. So, and that's, so like with work kind of slowing down a little bit, that's what happened. But it's like, okay, well, I need to go create some work here. I need to, with this job, nobody's really telling me what to do. So it's like, okay, well, decide to just start making some calls and seeing what I need to do. So just trying to like be a self-starter and get into it. And but yeah, I was falling out for a while, just getting back into it now where it's more of the routine. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean. But it's like I come to a point where it's like you get frustrated. It's like, this is not, I don't want to do this, be this way or whatever. So you just kind of force yourself to make a change or get back into the routine. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, it's that concept where it's like, if you keep doing the exact same things, you're going to keep getting the same results.
Yeah.
So it's like if you need like your environment to switch it, change a little bit, then you have to do something a little bit different.
Yeah. So that's what. Yeah, being conscious of, okay, why is this not working? What can I do differently? I think is huge. 'Cause if you it's easy just to start fading out, just getting into the whatevers. But yeah, nothing ever, like, at least for me, nothing's ever just like showed up at the front door.
Nothing good has ever happened from Cassidy just getting lazy.
Yeah. Right. Nothing good's ever happened from getting lazy. Yeah. And things usually start to go downhill, and you can fall into the depression really easy when it's just like, whatever. But yeah, got to stay busy, got to stay active, even if it's just doing something.
Yeah, because that's what I've been thinking about. Well, So I was thinking about consistent persistence and how that is, taking persistent action consistently over a period of time, creates growth and progress. But, but it's like, it's easy to talk yourself right out of what you committed to do.
Yeah.
It's there's certain things that I've committed to, and like I've kind of been around the block with a few times that has like solidified my commitment. 'Cause I'm like, well, like the just whatever, like the article, right? The daily article I'm writing.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where I'm like, oh man, you have an idea of like, well, you could probably just stop. But then I'm like, no, if I stop, everything will stop if I stop doing that.
Yeah.
And so I've been through that enough times to where like I'm like fully committed to that.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think.
Yeah.
And so, but then I was even just thinking about like this podcast and like today, and I was just like, man, I don't know. I was like, maybe I was just thinking about what it would look like to switch it up or do something different, or, take a break from this or whatever. And it's just like, it's those ideas, right? Oh, you could just take a break. Oh, you could just take a day off. Oh, you could just take it easy. It's hard. Oh, it's difficult. I don't have any more creativity. I can't see. It's not flowing. I don't freaking know. I feel like the last one sucked. It's just like, you could talk yourself right out of it, but listen to this, right? So here's what's funny, right? So I'm thinking these thoughts like, I'm thinking about, did I really commit to this? This is what I'm thinking. Like, can I find my way? Can I find a way out of it kind of concept?
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this article I wrote the other day, which is hilarious, what you can forget. So anyways, I wrote this article called Consistent Persistence. Right. And so it says persistence is defined as firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. So you continue moving forward, whether or not, even if you have opposition or even if you find it difficult. Okay, so what's my problem? I'm finding it difficult. But so in my moment of difficulty, I'm thinking, okay, I could quit. But it's like the only way to gain progress and growth is to not quit.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, but it's hard.
Yeah.
No, right. Don't quit. Yeah. No, but you don't get it. Like, I don't have any more ideas. I don't know what else to do. It's not flowing. I just need to take a break. No, don't quit. No, because here's what happens. It's like there's the people just quit, but the people who don't quit are the people who go on to do amazing things because they've created the muscle and they've grown in maturity because they wouldn't relent, even though it got really hard, but they didn't stop. Yeah. Those are the only people who actually do something great. Yeah. Everybody else, it's just like we were talking about. It's like you can go with some repetition, you could go with some consistency and some discipline, and then when you start fading out, you lose this time.
Yeah.
And eventually, like you're talking about, you can go into depression because you've let go of your purpose.
Yeah.
But the reason you let go was because it was hard, and it was also hard to see. Like, it's like, I'm not really inspired. I don't really even know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, so like, there's all these opportunities to just talk yourself right out of your commitment.
Totally. Yeah.
But that's not commitment.
It's not. No. I think one thing I wrote down on the whiteboard at home was like Miles Monroe. I think he said it. It was like, I want to say it was like pressure creates character. I think that's one of the things he said. It was like pressure creates character, talking about like how like the refinement process of like metals and golds and stuff like that. All that requires pressure and all that. So anyways, that was the analogy. But yeah, that pressure creates character. It's like if you don't know how to act under pressure or how to like solve things under pressure, then your character's not going to develop or anything. You're not going to be, somebody that can make decisions or keep pushing in a direction if you can't under pressure do those things. So Yeah, pressure creates character, and I forget what else I was going to say, but
Because isn't it even like pressure and fire?
oh yeah, for like yeah, right, for the metals, yeah, it is high heat, yeah,
Ball coming
like
at you from all directions.
heat in the kitchen, yeah, yeah. If you can't stand the heat, don't cook. But
Stay longer, yeah.
yeah, and there's another word I was thinking of that I've always liked, and I wrote down that definition a long time ago, tenacity. And I forget, I was trying to remember what that definition was, but it was like the ability to like hold something firmly. Like some of the synonyms for it were like stubbornness. I have to go back, and steadfast, this might have been another one, but like tenacity is like the ability to like hold something, like not let go of something. Yeah, maybe you can look it up, but the one of the synonyms was like I said, stubbornness, which I think was just people look at stubbornness as a negative thing, but it's almost like you can look at it as a positive thing too. It's just being like you're so stubborn and going this direction that nothing is going to, because the negative connotation of stubbornness is somebody that we take it as like somebody that can't change their view on something that maybe it should be changed. But like the positive is like you're so set in a direction that nobody can get you to move, or nothing can get you to move right or left of that direction. So yeah, I've always liked that word and that definition. Like that stubbornness is I think something that if you're gonna do something crazy, you're gonna do something great, you gotta be stubborn. And just like I don't really know how this looks right now, but I can make some phone calls or shoot some emails out and get some and just do something and just keep moving, or read this book about this. And so yeah, just being stubborn I think is required if you're gonna go do something crazy. But
Yeah. So it says the quality or fact of being able to grip something firmly.
Yeah.
The quality or fact of being very determined. Fact of continuing to exist. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so in that in persistence, in the definition it says this. It says firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. All right, so if firm or obstinate. So I looked up obstinate, and it says stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or chosen course of action despite attempts to persuade one to do so. You want me to read that one again? Obstinate is defined as stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or chosen course of action despite attempts to persuade one to do so. I was trying to persuade myself to do so.
Right, you can be the one that's persuading you to change course. I've been the one doing that.
Yeah, right.
Before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we've probably all been there at some point. And the people that listen to those voices are the people that are not pleased with their circumstances every day. They're always frustrated. Not where they want to be. And always complaining and always wondering what the heck's going on. But
yeah. Consistent persistence. Yeah, consistency, consistent. What's that? That's acting or done in the same way over time, especially as to be fair or accurate, unchanging in nature, standard, or effect over time. So essentially, like you keep doing. Essentially, it's like the pattern that you keep doing with repetition over and over and over. So it's like those daily disciplines that you know that if you continue to do these things, you'll get out of whatever, slump you're in.
Yeah.
And you'll persevere, you'll see. But because you didn't give up, it's like you're going to come. You didn't lose ground. Where if you crapped out and waited until you got some kind of revelation, right?
Yeah.
Like you would have lost.
Yeah.
You would have lost momentum.
A lot of days gone. Yeah.
Even when you feel like you're not making momentum,
yeah,
still moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing, one of the guys I was listening to talked about manifestation. So thinking about these things that where you want to be or what you want to do or who you want to be or who you want to be with, like focusing on those things and being specific about those things. Like this guy was telling stories, like he was so specific about like what he wanted and so focused on that like things would just start to happen. Like the one that just comes to mind was like he was talking about something financially one time and relationally. So he was coming out of this, like this guy's story is massive. Like from the age he was a young kid to now he's just been to so many places around so many people, done so many things. But anyways, he was talking about like how one year he knew what his expenses were in Southern California, and he knew what he needed to basically live. So he would just focus on, he set that goal of like, okay, I need to make $25,000 in the next 3 months or 4 months or whatever. And then he was also like, his mom was, always on him like, well, you're so specific with your business and your financial goals. Like, what about your relationship goals? So he's like, yeah, kind of whatever. But he remembered this girl that he had a crush on, and saw her in high school or something like that, and they were friends or whatever. It had been a long time since they'd seen each other though. Anyways, he walked into some store and saw her on a magazine one time for something, so he anyways put that picture of her or whatever on his whiteboard or whatever, and he's like, that's who he wanted to marry or something like that. He's like said something or wrote something by it, and anyways ended up like reconnecting with her somewhere by chance, and like they got married eventually and stuff, and it had been like 10 years since they even seen each other. But like, and then like he was, one of his friends had like offered him a position in like at a job at his company, I think, and he's like, I'll give you this $25,000 sign-on bonus if you come work with me. and then he's like, the one thing he also was thinking, or one of his goals was to have this certain car. I don't know what it was, but he's like or no, the guy that wanted him to come work for him was like, what do you want? And so he's like, I need $25,000. He's like, okay, you got it. And then he's like, I want this car too. And he's like, I can't. The guy that wants to hire this guy, he's like, I can't give you this car. He's like, no way. And so then the guy's like, well, whatever. And I think he turned him down or whatever at first, but then he got a fax on his fax machine like a couple days later, and it was like it was like a sheet that like allowed you to like pick what the options of the car that you want. So he had that car that he wanted, and he's like pick your options for the car. And so there's all these things, like he focused so much, wrote them down, was specific about them, thought about it all the time, and it's like those things, like he unknowingly put himself in these areas where like the things that he wanted were there, and he was able to take them. So that was just something about, manifesting the things that you want, seeing the things, thinking about them, writing them down, believing that they're achievable and possible. And it's like that stuff like works. That stuff happens. Like it's not hocus pocus or anything.
I feel like because that's what's actually called faith. Like that's the principle of like faith. Yeah. Because it's like, for the most part, it's like your self-talk or like your ideas of what the tomorrow is going to be. Is it based upon what yesterday was, the problems you had yesterday? Do you picture those same problems tomorrow? It's like picture, no, I'm going to succeed. No, but for real, it's like there's going to be 1,000 people who show up. I'm going to, it's like, and then if you constantly keep picturing it, one, it changes it changes your outlook on life because you start to create a new pattern of thinking. But it's like, because there's a ton of people who talk about that kind of stuff like that, where there's another guy who talks about the mind, and he's talking about like, you in your meditations, you kind of sit, you think about these things, but it's like you stick around until you feel your emotions, like you feel like you already have it. And so the concept is he's like, once you feel like you already have it, then it's like you have like this concept of gratitude. He's like, but you don't even have it. You just think you have it. And because you have it, like you have gratitude. When part of the concept is like, you don't need anything outside of you to be at peace or to have gratitude or to have joy. It's like you can literally, you can find it, inside yourself.
Yeah.
By picturing, just in this case, like you're picturing that you have what you want, even though you don't have it, but you feel like you have it.
Yeah.
But then, then they talk about like these people, like it happening.
Yeah.
So,
And it wasn't like $25,000 showed up at that guy's port. He had to ask for it. Like
right.
The guy was like, "What do you want to come work for?"
Right.
Me? And so he asked for it.
But he knew what he wanted.
Yeah, right.
And he was gutsy enough, right? Because he
Right.
probably said it a bajillion times. It's just
Yeah.
what come out.
Yeah.
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 And I want this
Absolutely.
car. What?
Yeah.
That's a little wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So manifestation is huge. Being stubborn in what you want, being specific.
Being stubborn. I like that one.
Write it out.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? Some guy's name.
Timothy
anyways.
Corncob.
Timothy Corncob. It's the guy with the big blue bull. Ox. Babe. What? Babe the blue ox. Come on, somebody. Timothy Corncob. Anyways, he says, whatever his name is, he says, your obsessions become your possessions.
Mm.
But this word obsession, right, which also has a bad connotation to it.
Yeah.
But no, but I mean, like, seriously, like if you really want to become who you're created to become, if you really want to do the things that you picture in your mind, which are the very things that God actually wants to do, you're going to have to get obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Not just upset, but obsessed.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, because it kind of, you were talking about it. It's like, just because you have a want or a wish or a dream or desire doesn't mean that in the next morning it's just going to show up at your front door.
Yeah.
Just that concept where it's like, because sometimes it's just like, oh, well, God will just make it happen. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or it's like the people who have actually done stuff actually did stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the reason why it got accomplished is because they started picking up the phone or they started showing up at places and they kept doing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Right. Yeah. And obsession.
Mm.
Yeah. 'Cause that's gonna drive you to do some things that you don't want to do. So you've got to be obsessed.
Right.
Yeah. So that's gotta be kind of the driving force. 'Cause I was sending out some emails the other day and they were, some of them were to people that I knew that I don't think knew me, but I knew who they were and they might have known who I was. And I was, one of the voices in my head was like, well, what if this gets to somebody that does know me? And they're like, well, what is this guy looking for? And like, well, or what is this guy asking for? And it's like, they might think something negative about me, but it's like, who cares?
Right.
I'm going to send this email to as many people as I possibly can. And if one person responds out of, 50, then great. That's perfect. Then I'm one contact closer to where I need to be. So yeah, I don't know. It's just stupid stuff like that can get in your head and like slow you down when it's like that stuff is worthless. It's so minute and it's like, who is anybody to say anything anyways?
Right.
So nobody determines what you are or who you are anyways. So yeah, just little stuff like that I've noticed before, trying to slow me down. Like, well, what if this person that does know me sees this or reads this and they think something like, well, who is this guy? And then it's like, I don't really care who you think I am. I could care.
Serious.
Yeah.
But no, it's possible though because this happens to me all the time, where it's like in your mind, I don't know, it's like maybe it's like too much of a conscious idea of what somebody else is thinking or feeling, and even just in a hypothetical situation, which is dumb. Yeah. This one guy, he was talking, I don't know, he's Indian, he's some yogi person, yogurt.
John Hancock
the third. Anyways, he was talking about how pain is what the body feels, but suffering is what goes on in the mind. Like where you can have a past event, but you continue to relive that event over and over and over. It's like you're suffering, but you're not even there anymore. You just continue to relive it over and over and over. And it's just like in certain ways, it's like, I find some of those thoughts, but more and more, it's just like trying to get to that place. Cause he even said, he's like, whether you're like full of joy, like you're super joyful, or you're like really mad, he's like, any way you slice it, you don't want to give anybody the control of those two things. Like you don't want somebody else to control how you feel, how what you're thinking, feeling, or acting. Like that should be your control, under your control. So whether the situation or circumstances is pleasant or unpleasant, you don't have to get offended or emotionally involved or caught up in whatever.
Right.
Which is crazy. Because if you can stay stable and sound, and where your mind, your emotions, your body are all going in the same direction, it's like you can accomplish some things.
Yeah.
Because even like you're talking about, it's like, bam, here's the goal. I got to pound out a bunch of emails and whatever. Who cares? But seriously, who cares what people think? Like, because that's what, I like, oh, I could call somebody, but they'd be, well, I mean, who are you? What am I? Oh, that's awkward. I don't actually, they don't want to take your call or whatever, but it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Because the people who do great things call, like they don't worry about what other people are going to think. They just go and do it.
Yeah.
Or not to say that they're unhindered by that thing. They just don't let it stop them.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, one thing Grant Cardone was talking about in his 10X rule book was taking 10X actions, like, massive levels of action.
Yeah.
It produces new kinds of problems. He's like, look, you could stay and like, you're going to have problems. So you might as well have some new problems, some bigger problems that are produced by bigger levels of action.
Or problems that actually produce character.
Yeah.
Instead of just like
and progress. Yeah.
Little problems that don't do anything.
Right.
That just keep you in a negative space.
Right.
Yeah, you must have problems that are going to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching that movie last night with Jake, that Lone Survivor movie about the Navy SEAL, or not, I don't know if they're Navy SEALs or whoever, but Navy guys. And it was like, I just was kind of, they were showing like that, a little bit of that. I think there was like, it was actual footage of like the Hell Week, so of actual soldiers going through that. And like what's like, it was actual footage as just kind of part of the intro for the movie. And then, so I was just kind of thinking like that, like how like actually strong the mindset of a human being is. And like that whole movie, about like these guys that go on this secret operation mission or whatever, they get kind of compromised by just a happen chance of, in the woods of running into somebody from the village they were trying to kind of attack. And so it's like that didn't go as planned. And so like they had to immediately like think of a solution here and go through the ideas of the solution and then decide on which one to do. Like within a matter of minutes, like they had to do that. Like they had these like, have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had those prisoners. It's like, do we kill these guys? Do we let them go and run? Or do we tie them up or whatever? And anyways, it was just so impressive watching that movie about like the guys that were like, there's actual people out there that do that operate that kind of way on a daily basis, where it's like there's massive problems going on around them and they have to find a solution and then commit to it, or it's life or death. And like even like in those battle scenes where it's like, okay, we either stay here and let these guys close in on us with their machine guns, or we jump this cliff and like take the injury and see if we can regroup a little bit. And like over and over, it's like these guys just would not like I think it would be so easy to just be like, all right, just stand up, put your hands up, and just like take a gunshot to the head at that point, where it's like, okay, I don't want to even do this anymore. But those guys were just like to the point where it's like, okay, no matter if I can still see with my eyes and pull this trigger, I'm gonna be shooting this gun.
Yeah.
And it was just insane. Like that was, I think, the best part of the movie was just like the mindset. That's like, it was the fact that it was, based off a true story, it's like there's people that operate that way. And it's like it's not like it's like that in our everyday lives. It's not like that, but it's like you can operate on a similar wavelength as people like that to get things done. Thankfully we don't have to operate on making those kind of decisions of life or death, but it's almost, they deserve the same, the things that kind of we're doing, they deserve the same attention, the same kind of going after the intensity of going after them. But just the ability to, okay, what's the solution? What are the options? Make a decision and then commit to it.
Yeah.
And then act accordingly. But I don't know, that's just something that, I was thinking about last night watching that movie. It's just like, how do you want to operate each day? But
yeah, I was thinking I was thinking about this. I was listening to watching a video from Miles Monroe, and he was talking about work, and as kind of the reason why God created the world and man's job and God's idea of work. And I was just thinking about this concept of, if I know what I'm supposed to do, like if I know what God requires of me, if I know what that is, then I can give my whole self to it. Right? Opposed to the idea where like this life is a big mystery, God's a mystery, this is a mystery, blah, blah, blah. All right. But the problem with that idea is, one, it didn't come from God. And two, we all know that we'll be held accountable for what we do, right? You're only held accountable because you've been given responsibility. Well, you're responsible for something specific. Like you can't just, hey, I'm gonna give you responsibility, and you're like, oh, over what? Right? Like, I mean, that comes with knowledge and understanding. But I was just thinking about it. It's like, dude, the more I fully like grasp what is required of me, the more I can give myself to it. But like your success depends on your knowledge and understanding of what it is you're called to do.
Yeah.
Because if you're confused all the time, you can't take consistent steps, or like, you can't live in efficiency.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're always kind of chasing your tail a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think being specific is huge. Yeah. Yeah, because if we don't know, it's just going to cause a lot much more frustration. So, yeah.
Well, because there's also like freedom in it, because it's like, all right, so if our goal is to bring about community transformation so that we can get so good at solving a particular kind of problem that we become known for solving that type of problem.
Yeah.
Well, then it's just like, all right, so if that's the main goal, then it's like you figure out, okay, what do you need, or what do you need to start doing to actually start making an impact? And then how can you continue to multiply that impact that you're having? How can you spread that out further to have a bigger effect, right?
Yeah.
And then you just start getting into those things. Well, once you kind of have some of these basic goals, then it's like it kind of makes your decisions a little bit easier, because instead of you're like, well, should I do this? I know it's going to cost money. Should I do this? Oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, who knows? This is your idea.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, is it going to help us achieve our main goal? Yes. Okay. Then the answer is yes. But it's like, whoa, I've never done that before. I've never been here before. This is like everything. It's like, I don't know. I've never done it before. I've never been there. I've never consistently kept up. It's like everything's in that new uncomfortable place, but that's all where the growth is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like the more clear things become, the better chance you have at succeeding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just this idea that God's not hiding his purpose, right? Because I was thinking about it like this, right? Because there's this idea that this life's a mystery and you suck and blah blah, right? Like God's good and you're supposed to follow. Like there was this sign and whatever. Maybe, you know, not to judge anybody's motives. Maybe their motives were better than this, but it's like there was a sign that said, you know, if you follow God, he'll get you to where you need to be. Like, in essence, where you want to go is not where God wants to go. So if you kind of get over yourself and follow him, then you'll be where you need to be, even though that's not where you want to be.
Give up everything that you hope and dream and follow the unknown of like, well, I don't know what God wants. I don't know,
but it's whatever it is, it's terrible.
Whatever it is, I have to go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
And then it's just a big mystery.
The concept is
and you're
good,
probably going to fail. You're probably going to suck.
Yeah.
And it's 1,000% going to suck because you're going to fear the whole time.
Yeah.
All right. So deleting that image from your mind. Okay, if I have a business, all right, which I do, but if I have a business and I've got some main objectives, right? So I have a pressure washing business. Bam. Our goal is to go and we get jobs, and when we go out to the jobs, we want to clean those effectively, efficiently, with quality, right? So we've got a process, all right? So bam, there's a way you set up, there's a way you use the equipment, there's a way you use the soap and the wash, and, you know, you walk around the house a couple times, you double check. There's a process. All right, so let's just say, all right, I want to expand my business for the explicit purpose to grow, right? If I hire an employee and I just say, I have an interview at a coffee shop, be like, bam, you're hired. Immediately take him to a job site, leave him there, and then I take off. Did I set him up for success or for failure?
Failure.
Okay, now follow me on this, right? I set him up for failure because I didn't teach him anything. I did not give him what he needed to succeed. So not only does that not benefit me, it does not benefit him, and it does not benefit the customer. And long term, if I continue to try to operate like this, that guy's going to quit, and you're going to gain a reputation of not being able to do what you say you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, so my main objective, though, is to grow the business. So ignorance is not the solution. It's not a strategy.
Yeah. So that's contrary to what that popular belief is. It's like drop what you know and follow God to get you where you need to be, even though you don't know what it is.
Yeah, and you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And you should feel bad that you can't.
Yeah.
But try anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually, anyways, you circle back to what you used to know anyways. Eventually.
Well,
some
or
people,
you just keep
don't.
going in the same cycle. Well, sure, because because I mean, you're like, yes, because at the end of the day, you want to live a life that pleases God, but then it's like, this isn't working. So then you go into fear, doubt, worry, depression, and this and that, and then you're like, oh my gosh, then maybe somehow you get out of it, and then you fall back into it.
Yeah, if you get out of it, if you get out of it, because that's a and that sucks you in. It's a tractor beam trying to pull you in.
Yeah, but it's interesting because that video I was watching of Miles, it was hilarious, man. He was just saying, you know,
Miles was funny, or the video? Like,
well, what he said, I don't even know if I want to repeat it right now, but it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm watching this, and I'm like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like hearing what he's saying, and I was like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
He even started it off. He's like, what I'm about to talk about, like, you know, might mess with your mind a little bit. Like, it's like, or, you know, some people aren't going to like it. He's like, as with most of the things I say. But yeah, you know, whatever. You know, he said some things, but then like there was this some surveys that went down, and he was just saying that the whole thing was about it was part one of bringing the kingdom into the workplace, and he was saying that 70% of church-going people never heard a message about how you should use your time at work to bring the kingdom, or like to talk about Jesus or this and that. And then he's like, you know, over 70% of people never once heard a message about like vocation, about your job, about how to do it, how to become good at it, or just different ideas, right? So there's this big concept that the whole point of life is to go to church, right? And then the rest of your life is pretty much useless, right? Your job's bad because, money's bad and this is bad and this is whatever. He's like, all right, but then we're going to try to get into evangelism. So you do mass evangelism or pew evangelism from church or like street evangelism. He's like, that's so dumb. Why would you go looking for people when your work environment puts you in access to people? This kind of concept. But the whole concept is that, well, I think there's what God's plan is not what is normally taught, but it's really not that confusing. Once you finally like hear about it and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact is that the goal is to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. That was the reason why God created the world and mankind, was for mankind to colonize earth so that it looked like the kingdom of heaven, right?
Yeah.
And that's still the goal. So Jesus came, who then preached the kingdom and then displayed the kingdom, right? And in John, he's like, talking to his disciples now, he's like, look, like the Father sent me. He's like, if you don't believe my words, at least believe the miracles, believe what I did, right? So not only did he talk about the kingdom, but then he demonstrated the kingdom, the proof of the kingdom. And so Jesus came to then set up us. He was the pattern that we are then to follow in, right? And so the goal is to preach the kingdom and to demonstrate the kingdom. It's like the purpose is to infect this world, colonize it, cause it to replicate the function of heaven on earth.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, if you got ideas that smell like the kingdom, the answer is yes. If you want to go and rob a bank, the answer is probably no. That's not right. Like the answer's no. It's pretty kind of like it can be pretty that cut and dry in terms of like, oh, is this idea from God or is this idea from me? Or, well, because you come up with good ideas and people are like, oh, that's just the flesh. No, it's not. Maybe it's not. It's like, oh, your motivations probably suck. No, maybe they don't. Maybe the people you're listening to freaking suck.
Yeah, they're not God.
I don't know. All I'm saying is this, is you got to read the Bible for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just take somebody's word for it.
Definitely don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that whole concept of making money too. It's just like you don't want to think that something you want to get into, it might make you a lot of money, but you don't get into it because you don't want to you think making money is bad or something, but then get to the end and be like, God was like, hey, I had all this stuff for you.
Right.
It was okay to do
Which
that.
like, well, but then it's like to the fulfillment of your potential.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's look at it like this, right? So here's a perfect example of Jesus in the workplace, right? So talking about your job. All right, Jesus, right? He's teaching this massive crowd, and this massive crowd is crowding him. And so, but it's like him and the shore, right? So he hops into a boat, right, with Simon, who's eventually called Peter, and maybe a couple other guys. They had been working all night long and caught no fish, right? So they're in the boat. Jesus is like, bam, hey, I'm hopping in. Why don't you guys paddle out a little bit, give me a little bit of space. And then he's talking to these guys. All right. So he finishes up, wrapping up, talking to this crowd. All right. He enters into the workplace. These are fishermen with a business of catching fish who were out all night and were unprofitable. Right.
Yeah.
Jesus says, hey, why don't we go back out into the deep and cast your nets? They're like, dude, we were out there all night, but because you said so, we do it. Right. So they go out there, they chuck their nets over, and they've got so much fish that the net's breaking. They call their other boat. We're at the workplace, right? They've got their team boat. They say, guys, you got to come out here. They start filling up the boats. All right. You're talking about fish after fish after fish till somebody's like, dude, the edge of the boat's almost under the water, right? Like we're about to sink. These guys are going nuts. They're like, dude, Peter was like, you gotta, like, we're not worthy to be in your presence. Yeah. Why? Because he demonstrated the kingdom of heaven. It was the most profitable day they'd ever experienced in their life.
Yeah.
After like a no profit day became the most profitable.
Yeah.
And because of that demonstration of the reality of how the kingdom of heaven functions, it caused these guys to leave everything and follow him.
Yeah.
Like that is a good example of how you should function in the workplace. You should, one, dominate. And then because you do, people are like, holy freak, what's the deal? Like you gain influence because you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I never thought of it that way. I guess, yeah, that's really awesome. My first thought was when you said they called the other boat over, I pictured another boat kind of off in the distance and then them yelling over like, hey, we need some help. And that guy like turning on his motor and kind of speeding. One of those little motors in the back of those little onboard motors.
Yeah.
I had pictured that. So I'm kind of coming over towards the boat.
No way, man. They would paddle it out.
Yeah, kind of got confused at the time period, but then the second thought was like, yeah, those guys. It's easy to relate with those guys thinking like, okay, you know what? We've casted our net in like probably like 50 times today,
right,
and we didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And then, but it took them like just having even just a little bit of faith to be like, fine, and throw the net out. And I think it gets that way like when you're pursuing stuff. It's like, all right, I've done all these things. I've done all these things, read all these things, and it's like it's producing nothing. But like if you pray about that and you kind of like you pray about that and you believe like that something is going to happen, and you cast the net out like one more time. It's like eventually something is gonna like even after a time period of no fruit, it's like you keep casting the net out and eventually something is gonna happen. So yeah, it's just that little bit of faith, even just enough faith to throw the net out, keep throwing the net out one more time. And but yeah, those are my thoughts when you were talking about that.
I feel like that and just everything we're talking about too. It's like when you're going and like, you're trying to talk yourself out of continuing. I think, especially it's like when you're seeking God and you're asking for like, a fresh word of encouragement, or just like, dude, just give me a little, just come on, come on, you're here, you're freaking here. Let me just give me a little bit. Yeah. And, but just like when it doesn't come, what do?
Yeah.
You remember what he said last time. He's like, what's the last thing he said? Or what's something he said and keeps saying?
Yeah.
Like it's remembering, right? Yeah. That's where I went back and I read that article of Consistent, Persistent, which I wrote like 4 days ago or whatever. But it's like, remember. Like, so in those times when it's like, you're not in the groove, right? You're like, feel like I'm out of the groove, but I'm still moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, what do you do? Or even if it's like, it's getting hard and you're trying to talk yourself out of it, right? How do you become obstinate? How do you become stubborn and grip hard and continue to remember what you're doing? Remember why you're doing it. Continue to visualize, get into the visualization of, no, I'm going to succeed. No, this is what every time I've been in a situation like this, it's never lasted, right? Like I've been in places and situations like this many times before, and every time there comes like a point of relief.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's in that moment that if you stayed with it, you're really glad you didn't crap out.
Yeah. 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 You can bring the things that you want into existence, or you can leave it up to chance. And
Yes.
I don't think I can leave anything up to chance anymore. I don't want to leave anything up to chance anymore. Yeah, because you literally have that choice every day. Like, it's crazy. You can bring it into existence. It's going to take some effort, or you can just leave it up to chance and kind of hope for the best. But that usually never works out. Yeah.
No, you were given the ability to put forth effort. To put forth effort. One of the things Miles was talking about, he was talking about how, so God worked for 6 days and then on the seventh day rested. And so he said, all right, that's gonna be how it's gonna be. You're gonna work for 6 days and rest for one. He said, all right, which has the highest, which has like a bigger what? Emphasis? Emphasis.
Yeah, which has the bigger effing emphasis?
Yeah, no. Sorry. Sometimes my mouth doesn't work. But emphasis. The thing he told you to do 6 times, or the things he told you to do 1 time a week? Like, it's the things you're supposed to do 6 times a week.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like, that's the bigger, like, was to work. And I'm not just talking about your job, man. I'm talking about your purpose. I'm talking about the reason why God created the world and mankind.
Right.
To manifest the kingdom of heaven. It's just like, he was just talking about God values work more than he values rest.
And everyone emphasizes, like, you got to make sure you rest on the 7th day, or at least on the 7th day.
Or at least 7 days straight.
Is it Sunday or Saturday, or what is it?
Monday through Sunday.
The emphasis is always on the rest. That's interesting, because I've always heard the emphasis being on the day. Like, God rested. Everyone needs to rest. Slow down. Slow down.
Yeah, but that's why nothing happens.
Right, but it's like nobody ever emphasizes, like, there's 6 good days to do something. Yeah. So, that's interesting. And, it doesn't have to be like you go to a 9-to-5 job for 6 days a week. It could be you do that for 5 days maybe, but that 7th day or that 6th day is like, what are your priorities? If your priorities are, starting a business, okay, what do I need to read or talk to? Who do I need to talk to? Do that. Or if it's going to school, okay, what do I need? Do I need to fill out an application, study, whatever? Even it doesn't have to be 8 hours even a day. It's just work at what you're doing for a time on that 6th day, or maybe it's just spending time with your family and working to develop your kids or whatever, spending time with your family to help your family. It's like that's part of the purpose. And then it's like that 7th day can be just that time where it's like, okay, let's just chill out for a day before we get back into it. But it doesn't have to be like anything crazy, like where you got to work 12 hours a day for 6 days a week, but do something. Get into the purpose, get into stuff. Don't give your mind a huge gap of a break and then end up getting lost. But that's interesting, focusing on putting the emphasis on the 6 days of creating something.
But then you get into Jesus, and then Pharisees were all freaking out. It's like, how come you're working on the Sabbath? He's like, dude, my Father's always working. Why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Work, right? And in John 17, Jesus is praying, and he's saying, I finished the work that you sent me to do. It's like the only way you can know you finished the work is if you knew what the work was. And then how to do it. Like you knew what the process was. That's the only way you can know you were done.
Yeah. Right.
You had to know what it was.
Right.
And then Jesus said, as the Father sent me, so I send you.
Yeah.
To do what? The work of what? The Father. To bring the kingdom, display the kingdom.
Yeah.
Do it like a freaking master. It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
The ability we have to become like experts in whatever like our gifting is, like our call, whatever, our calling, whatever you want to call it, our purpose. Each of us has the ability to become a master.
Yeah. And the obligation to do well, to have success in that. That's an obligation. I don't know if it was, maybe it was Grant Cardone or Miles Monroe, but he's talking about like success as an obligation. I think it was Grant Cardone. Like success is an obligation. Like you're obligated to do well at something.
Right.
And but you have to have the right definition of what success is. Obviously, we know it's not just money, but it's like you have the obligation to excel at what you were called to do. So
he was talking about Cardone. He's talking about, essentially it's your ethical duty to be successful, in the sense that you were given all this potential, and it's your responsibility and duty to realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, God doesn't lose. He doesn't create losers.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
it's
but
crazy.
yeah. Yeah. And so Miles says, success is based upon what you did compared to what you could have or should have done.
Yeah.
That's success, right? Which again is realizing your potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's work to be done.
Yeah.
That necessitates everything that you are, right? It's not everything you aren't. It's that work that you were created to get into has to do with everything you are. It has to do with the entire, like, the fulfillment of your life. It's the best part of your life. It's the reason why you would get obsessed, because anything you're going to persevere in long term and have consistent persistence, you actually have to want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, hey, he's like, you remain in me and my words remain in you. You ask whatever you desire, right? Desire is a longing and a craving. I have to have what it is that I want. He said, then you'll ask it and I'll give it to you, because it's to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, proving that you're my disciples. You have to succeed.
Yeah. 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 Obligated. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a boat.
You've been, it said further down, he says, I appointed you to go and bear fruit, and fruit that lasts.
Yeah.
Appointed, like responsible, commissioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your duty and responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a lot of good duties going on.
You got a lot.
You got a boat and a net.
Boom.
Just keep on throwing her out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And everything you do, man.
Be obsessed with bringing in a big load of fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Or walk onto somebody else's job site and bring in a big load of fish. Jesus, he didn't only walk into their workspace, but he like did it better than they could.
Yeah. You're right.
That's somebody you're going to listen to.
Sure.
You're not going to listen to somebody who's like walks in 10 minutes late, has a bad attitude, doesn't have any money, and be like, guys, let me tell you how to change your life, And it's like,
right.
Bro,
or
you're a
you
hot
should
mess.
do this.
Yeah.
Or you should do that. Yeah.
No, but somebody who comes on the scene and blows, the biggest catch you've ever had in your life, like calls it, big bam, let's go do this, and it happens. That's
people are going to get on board.
People are going to get on board.
Yeah. It's like, you did what?
You did what?
I'm in.
That's freaking called influence, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
And if they follow you at all, like if they do, if you like, look, if you do this, this, and this is what will happen. You know, it's possible to know things like that.
Yeah.
It's possible to be so versed in what you do that you can guarantee success. Success and failure are both predictable.
Yeah.
They're predictable. And we've been created to succeed. Which is why Jesus said, look, I've appointed you to bear fruit. Why? Because that's what he did. What he did, he said, look, even greater things than what I did, you will do. Well, Jesus did a lot of things. But it's like, dude, come on, get into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
I think in everything you do, man, in your purpose, your vision, with persistence, consistence over time, right? You create growth and progress. Just make sure you sprinkle on a little obstinance, a little tenacity, a little stubbornness.
Yeah.
Refusing to relent.
Yeah. Don't let people determine what's possible.
Stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or chosen course of action despite attempts to persuade one to do so. That's commitment, my good peoples. Obstinance is in commitment. I will not be persuaded to change my mind.
Yeah. Right.
The decision before you make commitment, that's your time to weigh the cost. Like, oh, should I get into this? Should I not? But commitment, but seriously though, once you discover like, no, this is my purpose.
Yeah.
Abstinence is what is required.
Yeah.
Tattoo that on your forehead.
Get obsessed.
Get serious.
Yeah.
Because, freak, you're created to be epic. I mean, nobody was created to fit in. Right?
Yeah.
The light of the world stands out on purpose. Like a city on a hill is not easily hidden, but that's on freaking purpose. You're not supposed to fit in.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to hide in the corner.
Yeah.
You put a light on a stand high up and it casts light and everybody benefits.
Yeah.
That is the value that is in every single one of us. My good peoples. Until next time, peace.